Hi guys, welcome to the new program, The Healthy Shift Worker. So I have had already done this webinar, but I have to re-record it. So why did we develop this program? So I'm just going to start by reading an email from one of my friends that gave me permission to do so, who is a shift worker, and I had no idea how shift work affected her life until she had shared this with me. So I'm going to share it with you guys. I hope this gives you some insight into my horrible life as a shift worker. I'm being negative as I'm in a bad mood. Shift work has impacted my life negatively in many ways. I would start by saying that I am chronically tired and have been for the past 9 years. I work 12-hour shifts, but when it's all said and done, it's approximately 13 hours. On day shifts, I do not feel energized after the first one. If I'm not sleeping at 9:30, I don't get 8 hours. If I go to bed at 9:30, I don't have time to do much for myself, like walk the dog, go for a run, play sports, or go to the gym as I get home at 8 p.m. Food prep is a must prior to shifts, or poor choices can be made. Doing anything social in the evening after work is a challenge. A, because I'm tired. B, because it's late. C, it will impact my sleep. For example, I am going to volleyball tonight post day shift. I'll drive home, grab my stuff, and head to my game at 8:45. I feel pressured to go to the game as I am one of three girls on my team and one is away. I won't be done volleyball until 11 p.m. and won't be sleeping until past 11:30, and I get up at 5:30 a.m. I have to work the next 3 days after today, followed by 2 nights. This will set me back for the rest of my day shifts until Monday, and it's Thursday. So she's saying she needs to get to bed by 9:30 on her day shifts in order for her to feel good, especially starting her set or rotation. Yet she's going and playing volleyball until 11:30. So in our program, we want to talk to people about setting boundaries, having conversations like these, and saying, maybe you have to tell people on your volleyball team that you're not available to play on those days, and that's just the way it's going to be. And then if they know that ahead of time, they know have that expectation, then you're not going to be letting anyone down. So having those, trying to really figure out what's going on in your shift worker's life and what are the challenges that they are facing right now in their shift worker. So we go through some core areas like nutrition, their sleep, their social and family life, and try and pinpoint exactly where your client, because everyone's going to be different, is struggling most when it comes to shift work and trying to help them. We're not doing a 3-month program because it's going to be too hard to change anyone's habits within 3 months. I just really don't like 3-month programs, especially when we have, people are working on a number of different things when it comes to shift work. It's not just going to be about nutrition. People can't change a habit in 21 days, and it really does take time and practice, the right mindset to really make a good lifestyle change when it comes to, something like shift work and trying to improve your sleep and nutrition. So she talked about her nights a little bit. First night, I haven't slept enough as I was too tired to stay up late the night before because I had just worked 26 hours, sometimes 39 hours if I work 3-day shifts. I usually sleep from a lot of shift workers are working 12-hour days too, and then they have to commute to and from their work as well. I usually sleep from 10:30 p.m. to 12:30 the next day and then stay up for 18 to 19 hours. That's the first night. On the second night, I usually sleep from 8 to 2, 6 hours, then feel lethargic, making motivation to exercise or meal prep low. I usually feel guilty and burn the candle at both ends, saying yes to friends, doing house chores, running errands, exercising at the gym, making me extra tired when I should be resting. On my days off, I try to do too much, resulting in chronic fatigue and lack of motivation in the weeks to come. So she had mentioned a few things that helped her, but we had interviewed I had interviewed, I guess, a series of people when developing this program, and it is a bad situation. People are not taking care of their health. This is a program where, we can make a really big impact with people, but we're going to need to be working with people for longer than 6 months. So kind of planting that seed, Bruce talks a lot about planting seeds and really letting somebody know that, with shift work, we have a lot of things that we need to work on. And this is going to take time. So really planting that seed that it's not about just losing weight, because people are going to be coming just to lose weight regardless of what you say, but plant that seed, set that expectation, tell them you want to work with them for 6 months to start, and then if not longer, right, looking at how far they are going to go in maybe a year. So we also did a trial program with 5 participants. With the trial participants, I think on average in the market, so we offered it for free, which maybe wasn't the best thing, because not all of the trial participants decided to continue, because I think they were just coming for the free program. Unfortunately, one of the clients lost like 20 pounds. It was a guy, within 4 weeks, a young guy at that. And, he was basically at his goal weight and just didn't want to continue because of that. And I kind of said, it is about practice and really trying to give you some more ideas with recipes and meal plans. And he was just like, no, I just don't really want to continue. I kind of got down to my goal weight, and I'm just going to use what you gave me so far to keep going, which we all know how that will kind of work. But, unfortunately, I don't know if all of them are going to be continuing, because they kind of did come for the free trial. But it did bring in about, on average, the first week, $600 in market sales. It was over $600 for 5 people. So I think on average it was $130 a week, each person for the first week. They had to buy the Sleep and the Awake supplement, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And they want quick and easy things, guys. Shift workers are right now, on the ones that we've talked to, are not really prepping food. They're using a lot of fast food. They're using a lot of takeout. The situation at the hospital is pretty grim. They are ordering McDonald's at 11 p.m. after having supper. And it's like there's a big food culture too. So there's all kinds of rituals that the shift workers are doing socially, right? It might be a potluck, or bringing food in together, or who's going to bring the next treat, or who's going out for the takeout run. And some people don't want to say no to that, because it's just something that they're doing to socialize too, is their food. It's a huge food culture in some of these places as well. I'm working with one shift worker right now where they literally order Big Macs in the 3 night shifts that she was working. And it was about 11 o'clock at night, which is not the time you want to be having greasy fast food, but that's what they're doing. 2 liters of pop, chips, a lot of sugar, a lot of caffeine, sugar, double doubles, triple triples. I know one person that told me, my client, kind of ratted on her client, saying she was drinking 2 liters of regular pop. Diet pop's a big one too. I think most people coming in were drinking pop or diet pop. So those are some of the things you're going to run into. The habits are not going to be great to start, or else they wouldn't be coming in. I did talk to one shift worker or yes, 2 shift workers who are, they lead a healthier lifestyle. But like my friend, she would lead a healthier lifestyle, but she would burn the candle. She would try to do too much, and she feels chronically tired because she pushes the envelope, and she can function on less sleep than maybe some people, but that's a choice that she's making, right? So she's complaining about feeling tired, but maybe she doesn't have to feel that tired if she sets some boundaries for herself and really got herself sleeping at the time that she needs to sleep to feel her best. Now, there's some things that you can't help with shift work. Shift workers are going against their natural circadian rhythm. So it may be really hard for them to feel good. Some people do worse on shift work than others. I talked to another girl who had to actually quit shift work and find another job because it was ruining her life and her marriage. She was an insomniac, basically, and literally tried everything to try and sleep after her night shifts and couldn't. So she was a walking zombie. She didn't feel like herself. She was cranky all the time. And shift work really took a toll on that person. And they actually had to find another job. These might be conversations that we're having with people. I know some shift workers, they might make good money. That maybe they might be able to work overtime too. I had one guy that would come off a night shift, and he'd have to go back in for like a union meeting or get called in for overtime, and he would take that. He would stay up until 8 to go drive his kid to the bus stop, which is actually really dangerous because there's a higher rate of car accidents with shift workers, especially after working a night shift. So it's really getting to know your client, guys, because we can't create a program that's going to be perfect for every single person, because every single person is going to be dealing with different things. So we're kind of covering some key areas. Having some education about them is great, but the education and the information is already there. It's really taking these people and trying to guide them one thing at a time, one small habit at a time, and really focusing on that over the course of time that we're going to get to work with them. instead of overwhelming them with a lot of information, like just giving out a handout each week, I don't think is going to be really effective. You may need to work on one area for more than 1 month. It may be, hey, we're going to really focus on your sleep habits. So let's start with this one goal for this month. It could be a month that you're doing that. I know Bruce even talked about that in The Art of Consulting. Working on something for a longer period of time instead of just saying, let's set one goal this week and you work on that. When I was trying to set a new routine of waking up earlier, it didn't just happen within 1 week. I had to work on it over a period of time. It took months. It may have even taken longer than months, right? There may have been times when I didn't do it, but overall I was progressing to waking up earlier on average than what I was doing before. But people who work shift work, they skip meals, they're eating irregularly, they're eating very unhealthy food most of the time, and they find it hard to keep up with regular exercise schedule. I don't think a lot of my shift workers or people that I interviewed were exercising. Their mindset too, a few people that I talked to, is really negative. I don't have time is going to be something you're going to hear a lot. I'm too tired. But we have to really call them out and say, okay, you're feeling really tired, but maybe you don't have to feel this tired if you ate better, right? If you focus on your nutrition, you then might actually sleep better. And we see that happen. And I'm sure you guys won't be surprised by this, but you'll see your clients who work shift work come in after the first week saying how much better they feel already within 1 week. Now, again, if clients are eating really poorly and they're trying to get off Diet Pop and Pepsi, they may not feel very well in the first week. So pay attention to that. Be aware of that, I guess. But the people we interviewed, they're just not eating well, and they painted a grim picture of what the situation in workplaces actually look like. But it's no wonder that shift workers are not feeling well, and until some of their health habits are addressed, they can't fully blame shift work for the way they feel. I hope that makes sense. I don't think shift work has to be as bad for people's health if people were actually maybe taking care of themselves a little bit better. I think the risks of health issues and diabetes and obesity are worse because of the health habits that shift workers have. I think, yes, shift work may have some, long-term consequences, I guess, to somebody's health, but that it's worse because of what people are doing. Shift workers are probably some of the most unhealthy people that I've seen come into my office yet. Okay. So we want to help shift workers feel their best by keeping them accountable and on track by changing their health habits. We want to bring more awareness to them that what they do affects how they feel. So with our trial group, I guess on average, not that it really matters, but on average, they lost about 60 pounds. They had more energy. Their digestion was better. They had improved sleep and quality of sleep. That was a great feedback. That was great feedback from the sleep supplement. A night shift is always a tougher time, guys, for sleep, so be aware of that as well. You may not be getting somebody that's going to sleep 8 hours straight through. That's going to be very rare. That's the hardest time for them to sleep, is after a night shift. But what are they doing after the night shift? You have to find out. Are they on their screen? Are they, what did they eat? How much caffeine are they having? Did they cut off their caffeine early enough? Are they waiting to go do something like drive their kid somewhere? Is that something that they need to do, or is there a way around that? Is that a necessity, or is there something else that they can do to get their kid to school, I guess? And we would be helping clients with their individual issues, I guess, or the things that they need help with. And some of the questionnaires that we are giving them are going to give us some big gain answers, I guess. We're going to get to know our clients a lot faster and understand some of their issues because we're asking the right questions. And I was able to figure out, where a lot of my shift workers were struggling just through that. And that in and of itself can provide tons of information and tons of stuff that we can work on over the length of time that you're working with a client. I think the shift work program is going to bring in more male clients, and shift workers are struggling with their health. That's why we developed the program, and that's what we saw when we were trialing the program. So I'm going to go over the circadian rhythm. This is, I think, a great figure that you can look at to kind of see how the circadian rhythm works. And a lot of shift workers have circadian rhythm disorders. So we have endogenous sleep-wake rhythms, so that's our body clock, and the external light-darkness cycle becomes misaligned, or you can call it desynchronized. The cause may be internal, so delayed or advanced sleep phase syndrome, or external, like in shift work or jet lag. So the cause of this misalignment is because somebody is doing shift work. So if the cause is external, like shift work, other circadian body rhythms, including temperature and hormone secretion, can become out of sync with the light-darkness cycle, and it's called external desynchronization. And with one another, internal dysynchronization. In addition to insomnia and excessive sleepiness, these alterations may cause nausea, malaise, people just don't feel well, irritability, they can be irritable because they're not sleeping. Think about how you feel if you don't get a lot of sleep, and depression. Disruption of the circadian rhythm is thought to be the main pathway for adverse health effects from night shifts. But we kind of say, it might not be that bad if people were actually taking care of themselves, which we know a lot of shift workers aren't. Circadian rhythms are the main, I'm reading that again, sorry, I just have some notes here. Circadian rhythms are the body's biological cycles that recur at 24-hour intervals. So you can see that in this figure. So sleeping, waking, digestion, the secretion of adrenaline, your body temperature, your blood pressure, your pulse, and many other important aspects of body functions and human behavior are regulated by this 24-hour cycle. So highest blood pressure, you can see, I don't know if you guys can see my arrow on this or not. Melatonin secretion starts around 9 o'clock. Okay, 9 o'clock at night, melatonin secretion starts, and that increase in melatonin is going to make somebody tired. Okay, so naturally, and who knows in shift workers when this is actually happening now, if their system's all messed up. People in general nowadays with modern technology, all the screens that we have, maybe melatonin isn't secreting at the proper time. If people are staying up playing video games, I have a client that we talked about this not too long ago because he's staying up until midnight, if not later, playing video games. And, he was brave enough to kind of admit that to me. And he's been having some hormonal issues, some thyroid issues, that when he addressed his sleep initially, when he was feeling kind of crappy, he started going to sleep earlier and started cutting off, TV and screen time. But then he reverted back into that habit again once he felt better. It's funny how people do that, but that's what happens a lot. So we had to re-talk about this, and I said, listen, I'm just giving you the information. What you're doing is not optimal for your health, your hormones, for how you feel in the day, for your thyroid. And it may, what the situation that you were in before may start to happen again if you start to stay up again till midnight. So now we're just working on, hey, can you maybe go to bed just an hour earlier than you are right now? And that's what I mean when we have all this information we can be giving people. Here's all the things you should be doing. But people take that information, just throw it out because they can't just change everything all at once. So when we're working with people on their problems, we can't just expect people to change them super quick right away. And you really need to make sure you rewatch The Art of Consulting too before even starting with some of these shift workers, because it gives us a lot of great information on how we can be running our consults. So melatonin secretion starts, and then if you look over here, melatonin secretion lowers, so it stops, and that's when people start to wake up. And if those things are off, someone may feel really groggy in the morning. Maybe the melatonin's not stopping and it's staying high. But melatonin secretion stops. So if somebody's working overnight, and this is one of the reasons we're recommending melatonin before they go to bed after a night shift, is that they're not going to be naturally releasing melatonin at 7:30 in the morning. Their melatonin's actually low, or it's not secreting. So we're giving them melatonin then to help them kind of counteract that, give them some melatonin so that they can help get to sleep a little bit better or faster or deeper or better quality of sleep. Testosterone secretion is highest at 9 a.m. We have our highest alertness at 10. So shift workers are obviously going against this when they're working their night shifts. So normally the body uses cues from its processes and from the environment, such as clock time, social activities, the light-dark cycle, and meal times to keep the various rhythms on track. Even after a long time on night shifts, Only a minority of workers show adaptation of their circadian system to the nocturnal activity pattern, usually because night workers usually revert back to usual sleep-wake cycles on day shifts and on off days. Okay, so it's not like they're readjusting their circadian rhythm. Some people do slightly. If you maybe were just working night shifts, you may your body may shift better than people that are working like 3 days on in the daytime and then 2 nights, and then they have like 5 days off, or they're reverting back to the regular clock time. So the circadian systems of night workers do not usually adjust to working at night and sleeping during the day. Instead, the circadian clock continues to promote sleep at night, so they feel kind of tired and groggy on the night shift, obviously, and wakefulness during the day. Thus, night shift workers is associated with poor performance, excessive sleepiness during the night shift, and poor daytime sleep at home. Hopefully, the supplements that we're giving them are going to help that to some extent, okay? And then remember, it's not an overnight fix. The first week of somebody taking these supplements, it's not like they're going to be magically better. Make sure you let your clients know that. This is going to take time. They're trying to renourish their body, eat some micronutrients, get their nutrition status up to par, at the same time as they're sleep deprived, so that's just not going to, fix itself all of a sudden. So it's going to take time for some of these things to adjust and for them to feel better. And the supplements, they need to give a good chance to work. We have an asleep and awake supplement. So an awake supplement that they can take on their night shift to help make them stay alert, feel like naturally and without using caffeine or prescription medications potentially. And then the asleep one is to help give them some better restorative sleep, even if their sleep isn't 8 hours and it's not perfect after a night shift, because it is still going to be harder for them to sleep. It may be deeper, and they may be able to get into deeper sleep. One client said she used to wake up 6 times a night, and she went down to waking up 2 times a night taking the supplement, still sleeping the same amount of time, but it was a more restful sleep. So just make sure you take note of that and you talk to your clients about that stuff as well. So circadian misalignment, as occurs in shift work, has an adverse impact on energy balance and increases the risk of weight gain. Disturbances actually of the circadian variation of the circadian variation in composition of the gut microbiome could be involved in the increased risk of obesity associated with insufficient sleep and circadian misalignment. So that's kind of an interesting thing too, how the gut microbiome is also involved. But shift workers are also probably not supporting their gut microbiome very well. And I don't think, I'm thinking if I went and worked shift work, am I all of a sudden just going to be have struggled with my weight? Probably not, because I'm probably not going to be eating 3 Big Macs every night because my health habits are better than that. So it doesn't mean if you're going to work shift work, you're automatically going to have a trouble with your weight. Probably why people are having trouble with their weight, because they start eating more calories. They might be less active. They're sleeping less. There's all kinds of things that are happening when people are, not eating well and not taking care of themselves. So I don't think the health effects need to be as bad as they are. So we're going to go over some of the health effects. So shift work, essentially anything other than a regular daytime work schedule, is a reality for 26% of full-time workers aged 19 to 64, according to Statistics Canada. About 2/3 of protective service workers, so police officers, firefighters, security guards, 45% of health workers, 40% of sales and service workers, and 42% of primary industry workers, could be farm workers, miners, forestry workers, are engaged in shift work. You guys are going to know where the bulk of your industry, I guess, in your area. For us, it's Irving Refinery. There's a lot of shift workers coming from there, a lot of male clients that have come in from the refinery. And the hospital is another big one that we're getting a lot of nurses coming from the hospital who are working shift work. And the situation in the hospital, guys, just in our hospital alone, is terrible. I don't know if you've ever been in a hospital at nighttime and have seen. I've been there. Done an internship in the hospital. I see what food is around, the type of environment somebody's in. That's not a reason that somebody needs to be eating bad, and we need to be telling people this. People have control over their food. If they have to step up and take control of their health. If people are eating junk food, it's not their environment's fault. Is it harder? Absolutely, and we can emphasize with that. But people need to take more control of their health and realize it's okay to have a treat on night shift. They don't have to be perfect all the time. and make sure you talk to your clients about that. They're not going to be able to, restrict and avoid those things all the time. And if they are trying to do that, it's going to backfire on them. So talking to them about, picking and choosing when to have a treat, when to have something, and then giving them alternatives or replacements to things that, technically, if you really think about how the circadian rhythm works and some of the research that's been doing on time restricted feeding with the circadian rhythm, people shouldn't be eating overnight. But it's probably not realistic to recommend that to people because most people are not going to do that. The hardcore people might. I know one guy who's not eating at all after 12 a.m. and I don't even think he has a sip of water because he says it affects his sleep. Well, that is probably an exception. That would probably be like me or Bruce or one of you guys kind of going and doing shift work and we were like, no, we're not eating, we're fasting during the night. It's not going to be realistic for most people. People are going to be eating food and we're giving them some other options from our market for like lower carb, higher protein snacks that they can use, like some popcorn instead of chips. Or I sent somebody a Big Mac salad for a recipe instead of the Big Macs that everyone was bringing in. Or maybe giving them a healthier option if they are going to eat out. What's something that they could ask someone to pick up on maybe a night that they don't have something ready. So talking to them about a lot of stuff like that. Going a little off topic on this slide, but the latest research points to the following about the health effects of shift work. So long-term shift work, night shift workers probably have an elevated risk of breast cancer and a potentially elevated risk of colorectal cancer. The IARC expert working group concluded that shift work that involves circadian disruption is probably carcinogenic to humans. Elevated risks of gastrointestinal disorders, mental health problems, including depression, and preterm delivery during pregnancy are indicated among shift workers. Shift workers, particularly those working nights, face a higher risk of getting hurt on the job than regular day workers. The risk is particularly high in the second hour of a night shift. The association between shift work and heart disease has been inconsistent, although there's previous studies have found a link between the two. A more recent systematic review found only limited evidence, but there's a running joke at the refinery that once a man retires or a guy retires from the refinery, they have a heart attack within a year or two. I don't think that's funny, but that's kind of what is happening at the, you work hard, you're maybe, working overtime and you're maybe making good money, but for what, right? Like why are you doing that if you can't even enjoy your retirement? So, and the people are not feeling good. They're not leading a good quality of life. So we're getting more clients coming to us that are just saying, I feel like crap and I don't care about weight loss right now. I just need to feel better. And I need to know what to do so that I can still be there for my grandkids, so I can enjoy my retirement, so I can travel, so I can have a better quality of life. We're going to be seeing so much more of that, I think, because people have not been taking care of themselves, or people are not taking care of themselves right now. And they're going to realize, wait a minute, is this what I want for myself? This is no life to live, right? So to have a joke at the refinery that these guys, these men, and they eat terribly, guys. I know my husband works at the refinery. I know what they're doing. He's about to enter a night shift here at the end of February, only for a month, but I'm going to have firsthand knowledge of kind of what they do, what they order, their options. A lot of highly processed, refined foods from like chain restaurants, right? Or the things that are coming in. And they're eating them at the wrong times, right? So, and a lot of them aren't prepping foods, they're not taking foods. And even if they are, if their wife or they pack something, sometimes they aren't eating them, right? And some guys too, they feel weird coming in and not doing what the guys are doing, right? And they're getting harassed or heckled by the guys if they're like, what are you doing? Oh, you're doing a diet? You're following a diet? You'll have that from women. You'll have that from people all over the time. What are you doing? Why aren't you having the Big Mac? And that's also something to be aware of with your clients. So people who work night shifts are likely to sleep less. I think we know that, and are more poorly than regular day workers. That's going to be the most common problem that you see, and that's probably the biggest issue with shift workers and how the circadian rhythm really affects them the most is their sleep is not great. While looking through the research, okay, this is something that I pointed out, they discuss approaches to mitigate the adverse effects of shift work. These include restricting successive evening or night shifts to 3 shifts, limiting weekend work, moving from backward to forward shift rotation. So that means you're not going to see many people going night into days. They usually start with days and then go into nights. So, and again, we can't have like the perfect shift rotation for everyone because shift work's different at a lot of locations, but you'll start to get to know some of the common shift rotations and schedules in your area. you're going to see day, day, night, night. So days into night. And using a participatory approach to the design of shift worker schedules are all supposed to, mitigate the adverse effects of health work, but they're not talking about nutrition, which we know is a huge issue. If you talk to anybody doing shift work, nutrition is a huge issue. We have information on nutrition, but we're not really saying, hey, this might be a really great way to mitigate the adverse health effects of shift work, is really focusing on nutrition and setting up a better environment, or having, I don't know, like health challenges at work, or something like that. They're not doing that right now, or I haven't seen anybody doing that. All right, sleep and shift work. I'm just going to take a sip of water. All right, guys, I'm going to go through this really quickly, but this will be an issue for almost everyone you see, okay? And particularly, they're going to have a harder time sleeping after their night shift, but you want to find out what are some of the things they're doing when they're going home. Are they watching TV? Are they on their phone? Are they scrolling Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Are they playing video games? That's really that bright light. We know that that's not good. And if they want to try to get to sleep, it's one of the worst things that they can do. If it's sunny out when they drive home from a night shift, if depending on what time they get off or what time of year it is, ask them to wear sunglasses, block out that light, black out curtains, earplugs, a mask, an eye mask, sleeping maybe somewhere else other than their bedroom. Most shift workers will already be probably doing some of those things, but the likelihood of them looking at their screens or doing some of that stuff or watching TV are probably highly likely. You want to find out if your clients are doing anything. Like I had clients doing a Benadryl Gravel concoction before going to bed. So talking to them about obviously why I think the sleep supplement would be a much better option. So the National Sleep Foundation reports that shift work causes sleep disturbances, excessive sleepiness, fatigue, poor concentration, absenteeism, accidents, errors, injuries, and even fatalities. I'm sure it's not great for their immune system, so they're probably getting sick more often. Only 63% of shift workers believe their work schedule allows them to get enough sleep versus 89% of non-shift workers. These are some statistics. Among night shift and rotating shift workers, about 10% have shift worker disorder. That's a more extreme, that would be something that would be diagnosed by a medical professional or their doctor, where the shift work is really, really affecting their life. So someone would probably know if they had that, or we may be able to identify that somebody has shift worker disorder. Shift workers experience excessive sleepiness or insomnia at a rate of about 25 to 30%. Night shift workers typically sleep around 5 to 6 hours, which is less than the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep per day or night. Sleep loss associated with shift work is primarily taken out of stage 2 sleep, the dominant sleep stage, and REM stage sleep. So they're not getting that deep, good restorative sleep. Between 10 to 20% of workers report falling asleep during night work. Performance decrease during simulated and actual shift work is approximately equivalent to the effects of blood alcohol levels of 0.05% or greater. And car crashes cause 22% of work-related deaths. This might be something that's great to tell that guy that is waiting to maybe go to his son's hockey game on a Saturday if he worked a night shift the day before, because he wants to be there as a father and feels guilty if he's not. Maybe he needs to talk to his son and say, listen, there's a higher risk of me getting in a car accident. As much as I'd love to come to your game, I can't do that right now. And this is why. Having those conversations with family members to explain, and it's also going to throw off his day and how he feels and his health, so that he doesn't have to feel so guilty about it. And I know that there's going to be some circumstances where maybe people need to do something, or maybe it's a really big event, or there could be like a funeral happening or something that they need to go to on Saturday that's like a one-off. There's lots of people that are doing these things all the time, and we need to have conversations about them, about, maybe there is a better way. Maybe you shouldn't be doing that because it really is affecting how you feel and it's not helping you to feel your best. So car crashes cause 22% of work-related deaths. In 7% of these car crashes, drowsiness or falling asleep are primary crash factors. You don't want to be driving your kids around after a night shift either, when you're at risk, you're at a higher risk of a car crash, or you're not feeling your best from working a night shift. Okay. So shifts will vary in all of the clients that you see, except, I mean, we had some people, if I had 4 people from the refinery, I understood their rotation and what they did. So you will start to understand, what the hospital shifts are like, what the, whoever the, I mean, it could be the hospital in your area or some sort of refinery in your area that you're going to see a lot of people who are working shift work or call centers. I don't know what where the majority of your shift workers are coming from in each area, but you need to understand your client's shift. So that's the first thing when you're meeting with them, is really trying to understand what their shifts are like. What you're going to see. So the shift of your clients who work shift work will vary. Okay. So that's really important to just sit down and write it out on the client profile questionnaire, because it can be really hard to understand shift work if you've never done shift work. I had a hard time understanding like swing days and all that stuff. Like it can be hard to wrap your mind around. So just try to get a clear understanding of what it is their schedule is. So a lot of the shift workers that we interviewed were at the hospital or the refinery. They work a rotating day and night stretches. So these are consecutive days in a row. So it might be 2 days, 2 nights, but those are all back-to-back days, right? Like it's not there's no days off in between. They're consecutive days in a row with a period of off days. So it could be 5 off. If they work 2 days, 2 nights consecutively, then they would have 5 nights off and then go back into the rotation of 2 days, 3 nights, and then have 4 days off, and then go into 3 days, 2 nights, and 5 days off, back to the top. That's how the refinery does their rotations. They call their stretch of work days a set, or their rotation. So they usually start with a morning shift, usually 2 days, and then swing into night shifts. So 2 days, 2 nights, could be 3 days, 2 nights, 2 days, 3 nights. You're usually going to see the days coming first and then the night shifts. So the swing day is a period of time transitioning from day shift to night shift. For example, a client works their last day shift, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Okay, so if they did day, they're working their last day shift, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. They sleep, and the next day they transition into a night shift starting at 7 p.m. So that's always their toughest day, because they're usually up earlier on their swing day, unless they stay up late intentionally, which some people try to do, but some people are too tired to do that because they just worked, 2 or 3 12-hour days. Some will take a nap in the afternoon before heading into the night shift, so they're not awake as long as they would be without a nap. That might not be a bad idea to suggest to your clients. A lot of people are doing that already, but some people didn't know that they should even maybe do that. Some people you'll see on their swing day, they get up early. Some people will stay up late the night before and they'll get up late. So you need to know what they're doing on their swing day, because that might affect, guys, what you do with their food or their menu. I tried to create the menu the best that I could, but and we did get some feedback from Nicole and Fredericton's, from some of my clients, who kind of said after working a night shift, they don't want to have, even though they're waking up at noon, which is why I put kind of a lunchtime meal, they feel like they just woke up, they don't feel like a heavy meal like that. So that is going to be changed on our meal plan for shift workers. Now, even if you started with shift workers and you gave out that other meal plan, it's not the end of the world, guys. You can just tell them to change that. You guys have the authority to change their meal plan at any time. If something's not working for your client, change it. Okay. You can ask for a Word document of the day 1, day 2 shift worker program, or I can ask Bridget to type that, or to put that up, and you guys can make changes to it. It's just a template. It's a guideline. It's not going to be perfect for everybody, but feel free to tweak it and change it like we can our regular day 1, day 2 menu. Okay. I am going to change that, but I don't want to just change everything for every single person, but I do understand that after a night shift, that lunch isn't appealing when somebody wakes up, even if it's lunch hour when they're getting up. I do get that, but that's kind of why we trialed this stuff out, so that we knew and had some feedback so we can make those changes. So everyone we talk to has a forward rotating shift, so nobody starts their sets with night shifts. Shift workers can work anywhere from 8 to 12 hours, most working up to 12 hours, making it difficult to find time before or after their shift for meal prep or exercise. So that's one of the reasons we preach prepping ahead of their set. And again, on their swing day. So the day before they head into when they're on their off days, before they go into their first day shift, that is the time where they need to set aside and prioritize some meal prep, okay? And again, on their swing day if they need to. Some people will get called in for overtime, and many are overcommitting during their work rotation with family or social obligations. We want people to set boundaries during their set or rotation. so that people understand that they need to be doing what they need to be doing to feel their best during their shift work and on their days off. People are feeling sleep deprived and sluggish on their off days, and we believe they can feel better if they take better care of themselves on their rotation. So again, kind of figuring out what are your clients doing during their rotation that is not serving them well, and working on those habits slowly over time, not just giving the information and expecting them to change it. That's not going to happen. So our program. So this is basically, guys, there's a, I don't want to keep this over an hour. So we're at 40 minutes right now. So a lot of this is on our, I don't think there's a whole lot more to go through. Just check here. Week 1, week 2. This is in our nutrition advisor guide. So I am going to go through the basics, but you can find more detail in, and it's not, I mean, it's not rocket science. It's just, we're going to be focusing on, you know, handouts and things and goals that are related to your shift workers' biggest issues, I guess, or struggles. So you're obviously going to have an initial consultation with that client. So you're going to have your client fill out a profile questionnaire before coming to their initial appointment. The initial consult will run the same as other consults. The only difference is you will be giving them a quick start menu for shift workers. There is a male and a female meal plan that is based around simple guidelines for their day shifts, their swing day, and their night shift. Again, if you need to tweak something because somebody doesn't like something or whatever, I'll get Bridget to post up the Word document so you guys can make those tweaks, because right now I don't think you can. Review this with them and hand them the grocery list. So there's a grocery list with it. Let them know, and if you need to change the grocery list based on your market, if you don't have those things, if you have something else that you want to add, everyone's markets are a little bit different. You can talk to Bridget, or again, I can maybe get her to post up the Word document if you'd like, or if you want to tailor it precisely to your market, you can do that as well. Let them know about the healthier takeout options that are available at your natural market. They may be very interested in that. These are people that are not used to meal prep. They may not want to be meal prepping. So you want to ask them, you know, what he always says, do you like to cook? If they don't, are you interested in some of our takeout options? Do you want me to put that on your menu? I'll keep the meal recipes on the meal plan. I'll talk about this in a minute. Should be very easy and simple. They should be one-pot meals or casseroles or chilies, or it could be a big salad, or something that you can prep for, like the unstuffed egg roll or unstuffed cabbage roll, sweet potato and kale sausage hash, things that make several servings because they don't want to cook, like, you know, 7 things before heading into a rotation. These are people, again, that are not probably prepping right now, and they're probably not prioritizing meal prep right now. Definitely let them know that you have meals to go, and these are things they can use at least on their set of rotation if they need to. At the hospital right now, I think they have like Nell's Kitchen meals there available, but I think they sell out pretty fast. And some people will eat those and then still eat the fast food. That doesn't matter. Hey, my dog's hitting me. Sorry, Cooper. No. So discuss the sleep, awake, and vitamin D3 and K2 supplements briefly. So you want to have the handouts ready for those supplements. Shift workers and indoor workers are consistently reported as being the occupational group most likely to suffer from a deficiency of vitamin D3. In people not working night shifts, melatonin levels increase a few hours before bedtime. I had talked about this before, when the body is preparing for sleep. But in people not working night shift, melatonin levels increase a few hours before bedtime when the body is preparing for sleep. Melatonin levels remain high at night, decrease in the morning, and remain very low during the rest of the day. If you work on a shift schedule and you're exposed to light during the evening or night, your body's natural production of melatonin can be suppressed. Clients in our trial group have been loving the Sleep and Awake supplement and are more than happy to purchase something that may help them sleep and feel more awake during their shift. Everyone is different and there are no guarantees. People may not be sleeping well due to stress or some other issues that a supplement can't fix. So that may be a good time. If they're like, no, the supplement's not working, you may need to do a little more digging. Are you stressed at work right now? Is there anything in your life going on that's causing you anxiety or worry and it's causing you not to be able to sleep at night? There could be something else going on that the supplement's not going to help, like a worrying mind. Okay. So you're going to have an individualized meal plan to them in about 5 to 7 days, and we're going to ask them to come back for an express weigh-in. Okay, so the big rocks, right? We want to be focusing on those things. So express weigh-in, getting that client to come in later that week to do an express weigh-in if they can. If not, you can ask them to come in for an express weigh-in other times during your visits, especially if they maybe maintain weight or they go up. Sometimes the shifts rotate. Someone maybe, if they're coming off a night shift, they may be holding on to more fluid. If they're, coming off wherever they are in their rotation, it may actually impact their weigh-in. So you need to be able to talk or speak to that when a client comes in. If they're just, on their feet for 12 hours, maybe at the hospital, they may be retaining some fluid in their feet, and their weight may be up because they just worked a night shift. So knowing kind of, are you coming back from a night shift? Same thing if a woman's on her period, right? Knowing kind of why somebody may be up or the same, especially if they've had a good week, that may be a way to explain it. Not letting anyone get stressed out over one weigh-in too, because that's bound to happen. All right, so I'm not going to go into detail on this because I don't have enough time, but the Sleep and Awake are the supplements. We have a handout on that on the Staff Learning website, on the staff login. There's a supplement webinar that you can click on, and you can search the ingredients on examine.com for some of the ingredients that are in here. I'm not an herbal expert. I don't know, a ton about ashwagandha. I know that some people probably have more knowledge on that than I do. But when you actually look it up, it's actually kind of interesting on some of this stuff. But the Awake supplement has rhodiola. It has Eleutherococcus, so that's an immune restorative and neuroprotective. It can protect from mental and physical stress. Schisandra, Barocopa monnieri, that helps enhance focus, memory, and cognition. So if you want to learn more about those things, you guys certainly can. There's L-glutamine, there's L-tyrosine. L-tyrosine promotes mental alertness and focus, and it has some vitamin D3 in it as well, in the Awake supplement. And then the Asleep supplement has ashwagandha, so that just helps to, it's a natural sleep inducer. There's some good research on ashwagandha. Melatonin, and I explained kind of why we want to give them that, and when and where to take this is on their day 1, day 2 menu, guys. GABA promotes mental calmness and relaxation. That's to help them, kind of knocks them out a little bit, helps them to get into a deeper sleep and improve their sleep or their ability to get to sleep. It has some magnesium in it, some B12, helps regulate the sleep-wake cycle. So the supplement webinar from Dr. Pushpa Chandra, she's the one that developed this. She's out in BC. She was a shift worker. She would be the person to talk to if you want more information about the supplements, and you can search the ingredients on examine.com if you want more information on that. If you have any clients that are taking a lot of medications or they have, health issues, you always want them to check with their pharmacist to make sure there's no interactions. And then our vitamin D3, I already explained why we want shift workers taking that. They're at more risk of being vitamin D deficient. We also have psyllium on our plan. There's like a protein powder on there. I didn't put them in the core set there, but the psyllium's there for same as our day 1, day 2 menu. We're going to take that at night on the cleanse, and then protein powder would be an option if they want to do that like as a nighttime snack. Some people will take some protein powder and almond milk, and they have like a chocolate shake they can use at nighttime for something to sip on, maybe during the night shift, to keep their hunger at bay without adding a bunch of carbohydrates late at night. And then week 1, okay? So you meet with your client for an initial consult, and then they're coming back for their week 1 weigh-in. Okay, we're going to go over, you're going to review their meal plan and check in because they would have received their meal plan by then. How are they making out with the quick start? Are they taking their supplements? Do they have any questions? How are they feeling? Are they okay with the menu and recipes you sent them in the meal plan system? And remember, this isn't a quick fix. There are no overnight fixes. Changing habits take time, consistency, and working through the struggle. The handout that week is going to be on creating a new routine. It's kind of like a questionnaire, and it goes over some key areas like sleep, their eating habits and nutrition, which we're already automatically working on and we're going to be continuously working on throughout the program that they're working with us, obviously. So keep that in mind. That's one big habit that they're trying to change right now. That may be all they need to focus on right now. If you get them doing too many things at once, it's going to be too overwhelming. So meet your client where they are, their level of motivation, their level of knowledge, their how gung-ho they are to do things. Really kind of meet them where they are, and if that may be what you need to just focus on for a little while before you even start talking about the sleep. Okay. The eating and nutrition habits are going to make the digestion better. They're maybe going to make it more likely that they want to exercise because they have more energy now. It may make them some family and social life things may be better if they're sleeping better, if they're eating better, they may be feeling better, they may be less irritable, less cranky. So some of the things that affect, like our nutrition affects our sleep, right? So just working on that may in turn help their sleep. You will see that, but they will sleep a little bit better once they start fixing their food. Their energy is going to be something they're going to notice a big difference. So creating a new routine, you're going to review this handout and give it to them to fill out for the week. This is their homework for the week. It's mandatory they fill it out and bring it back. It will help us understand what they need help with most. This is something that you can keep referring back to the whole time you're working with this client. You can reassess it. Hey, maybe let's go through that again. Let's see how we're improving. You can go back and get them to do that questionnaire again in 6 months' time. Where are some of their issues still? Where do we need to focus on? Has anything been fixed? So you can use this questionnaire more than once, but it's going to be the thing that you refer to back the most because it has a lot of, it'll help us understand what they need help with most because it's assessing all these different areas that could be affected during shift work. And it's a quick way to uncover some of your clients' big struggles. So that's for their homework. They need to fill it out. So make sure you're strict with that. If they're not bringing it in, they're not participating in the program, right? Make sure they bring that back. When I had that back from clients, it gave me a lot of insight into maybe even their mindset, right? Like I lack willpower may have been an answer one of my clients wrote. So we had a conversation about that for one session. Again, you're not going to address that whole handout the next, like they're going to bring it back on week number 2. So I'm going ahead. They're going to bring back that questionnaire on week 2. You won't have time to go through that right in your consult. You're going to want to look at that on your own time once they leave, right? We're kind of giving them some homework so that we get those things back and we have them in their file to refer to. So we know some of their reasons why they want to be there, and we can refer back to that, or we can work on those things a little more slowly over time. So week 2, there's a checklist, okay? Ask for their homework from last week. Did they complete it? Why not? Emphasize the importance of completing it. If completed, put it in their file to review later that week. Have they tried any new recipes? How come? Maybe they don't like to cook. Maybe that's when you go and take them into the market and show them some of the meals that you have. Did they make meal prep a priority? This will have to be the norm if they want to make a sustainable change. And if they don't want to meal prep, they need to purchase healthy meals. Discuss quick and convenient options in case they don't have a chance to prep or when they don't feel like prepping. Because there's times when I don't feel like prepping. There's times when you guys don't feel like prepping. So let them know, hey, if you're just having one of those weeks, come into the market. Go to this store or wherever and get a rotisserie chicken, get a pre-made salad. There are healthy, convenient options, so it shouldn't be an excuse to eat poorly just because you don't want to prep one week. Meals to go at your clinic, snack options for night shift. Those are those are on our quick start menu, and any other options in your community. You want to make sure you're discussing that in week number 2, and you're going to give them a handout on mindset. So they're going to be handing in their homework from week 1, and then you're going to review that quickly with them, how important mindset is. So you're going to go over that handout in that session and then ask them to fill out the answers on the back for homework. Okay. Pretty straightforward, weigh them in, all that stuff. So this was in your consultant or nutrition advisor guide. Week number 3, this is when you'll kind of go over creating a new routine with them. So you're going to review your client homework, creating a new routine before they come in for their next appointment. Just go over some key areas you'd like to work on with them. Nutrition has already started. Sleep may already be improving with them, eating better and taking supplements. Start with one thing at a time. Maybe nutrition is what you need to keep focusing on right now. And then ask for their homework from last week on mindset. Did they complete it? Why or why not? Emphasize the importance of completing it. If completed, put it in their file to review for later that week. Okay. And then the next week, week 4, you're going to kind of review that. How are they feeling? You want to focus on those non-scale victories, write that down to remind them later on when they're less motivated. And then you're going to discuss and review the answers from the mindset handout. Set some goals with your clients. Okay. This may be a great time to start, goal setting, 1 or 2 goals. Ask them what they would like to set, write down their goals in their journal so you can follow up with them next week. You're going to be weighing them in. Let your clients know too, they have the option to veto or not weigh in if they don't want to. You never want a weigh-in to be a reason why it stresses somebody out. Like somebody doesn't want to come in because they know they have to weigh in and they didn't have a good week. Let them know it's a safe spot. You are there to help them and you need to know what they're doing. And if they have a bad week, that's the most important time for them to come in. But they can veto a weigh-in. I had a client that was going on about how bad her week is. I said, we don't have to weigh you in today. And she said, yeah, I'd rather not. I have a lot of clients doing that right now. And they really appreciate it because they can come into my office without having to get on that scale. And they know that now. So let your clients know that they don't have to get on the scale if they don't want to, because we're working on health habits. It's not all about the scale anyway, as much as, we still want clients to focus maybe more on the energy and their sleep and really keep planting those seeds. That's what it's all about. And your ongoing consults, there's going to be handouts available to you on caffeine, on sleep tips, on exercise, on just general nutrition tips that you can use in your meetings. But it's going to run like any consult, right? You could technically pull any handout you want with your client that you need to. Maybe there's something going on with their digestion and you want to pull out a digestion handout. Maybe you want to talk to them more in depth about carbohydrates. So you pull out some handouts that we already have. You can pull out other material from other programs or another on our staff login, but you will have some handouts specific obviously to shift work, but you want to focus on one thing at a time before moving on. You want to set goals every single week, and you want to keep referring back to the initial creating a new routine to discuss client challenges and how they are improving. And you're going to use this to help guide your sessions. And I will show, hopefully this is recording. I will cry if it didn't. I'm just going to go, the meal plan. If you have any questions with that, I already did a meal plan example on the Team SFL Learning Center. So remember the search function on that. So you can look up shift work and that will pop up. And I already kind of went over the meal plan on that. So I'm not going to go over that again in detail. But if you have any questions, you can reach out to me at any time while you're working with somebody who has shift work. Everyone's going to be a little bit different. So, let us know how things are going. And, if you have any feedback or suggestions, we're here to listen to that. So I hope you guys enjoy the program. I think it's going to be a great program. I think it's going to help draw in a lot of new clients. Great potential for the market, getting some more men in. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And I hope that you understand everything. And if not, we are here for you. So just reach out if you have any questions. Thanks, guys.